So I'm a used car dealer and I don't want you to buy a car from me. So there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't buy a car from a used car dealer, and it starts with really where we get our cars from. And I can tell you that 98% of the cars that I buy, they come from auction. So now, how do these cars get to these auctions? Well, when you go and you trade in your car, whether there's something wrong with it or you just want an upgrade, but you go buy a new car from a franchise dealer, well, a lot of times they don't want that car that you traded in on their lot. So what they do is they send it to auction to dump it where used car dealers like myself will buy it. But you got to think, so why is this car getting traded in? Well, one case is, okay, that maybe there's nothing wrong with it and they just wanted that new car. But in most cases, they're getting rid of that car because there's some kind of issue. So really, these cars that we're buying when we're going to these auctions to buy, we're buying them because someone else didn't want them, because there was some kind of problem. And those are the kind of cars that we're getting in here to our car lot. Now, at my car lot where we do our business, we have a mechanic on staff, so a lot of these problems that we do buy from these auctions, we're able to fix here, and we're able to fix them relatively cheaply, and that's why I'm able to keep the prices where they're at. My car dealership, we sell cars that are $5,000 and under, and a big reason for that is because I have a mechanic on staff. But there are a lot of other car dealers that don't have this luxury, so a lot of the problems that they're inheriting from the previous owner or from just them running through auction, a lot of these problems are going to be passed on to the next customer, which is you. So you need to make sure that you're guarded against this if you're going to a used car dealer to buy your next car. So another type of car that winds up at these auctions that we're able to buy is a repossessed car. And what a repo is basically a car that was not paid for, so it was taken away from the current owner. And we know one thing about these repo cars. They were not taken care of at all, because the consumer really they have money to do one thing. They either can make the payment or they can fix the car, but they can't do both. And if they're not even making the payment, they know that that car's going back. So they're not going to spend any money on maintaining the car, on keeping the oil change, on if there's any problems with the car, they're not spending any of that money to fix this vehicle. So that's what a repo is. And even myself, buying cars that are $5,000 and under to be able to sell on my lot, I try to avoid repossessed cars as much as I can, just because I know that they're going to come in with issues that these trade-ins might not have. So I try to myself not buy repos. And probably the biggest thing about these cars that are coming to auction, if these cars were perfect, they wouldn't be at the auction. And I'll tell you why. So there's a reason why the customer trades in the car. There's something wrong with it. But even if that customer did trade in that perfect car, then that franchise dealer that took in that trade-in is not going to auction. They're going to keep it on their lot to be able to sell it themselves. So all of these used cars that are coming to car lots, just like myself, all these other used car dealers, they're basically just the franchise dealer's hand-me-downs. So if you don't have a dealer that is checking out these cars, then really the dealer's just inheriting someone else's problems and trying to sell it to you. So another big problem with the cars that used car dealers like myself will sell on their lot is that we don't know the history of these cars. Now we can pull a Carfax, but a Carfax is not going to tell you how the car was maintained, how the car was driven before, what kind of person owned the car before I was able to buy it from auction. So a lot of these cars that will come here, I don't know when the last oil change was made, because Carfax, even though I run Carfax on every one of my cars, that's not going to tell me how that car was maintained. So one easy thing that can get by, that I can tell you no vehicle history report is going to tell me, is how many cats that previous owner had. So the amount of smell that's in the car, yeah, that's going to come from that previous owner, and that's something that you're not going to be able to know. I mean, we can put as many of those little green trees in this car as possible to cover up some smell, but I can tell you, a month and a half later, that smell is coming out, and you're going to find out. So another big problem with really buying a car from a car dealer is, we all know this, right? Car dealers are shady. Well, at least most of them. Now, you can find good car dealers out there. I'm one. I know of others that are in my circle, the ones I talk to a lot. But for the most part, you're going to find that car dealers are not the most upstanding of citizens. They're not looking out for you. They're not trying to benefit your buying experience. They're looking out for them. They're wanting to make the most money possible. But really, the system is set up in a way where they're really forced to do this, and I'll explain why. So a lot of people don't know this, but most car dealers don't actually own their inventory. They don't pay cash for their inventory. What they do is they borrow money to be able to buy all their vehicles that are sitting out there. Now, this is not what we do. We pay cash for all of our cars, so we're not put in this bind that a lot of car dealers are put into, but they do basically what's the equivalent of swiping a credit card each and every time they buy their vehicle. So right from the beginning of them purchasing that vehicle at auction, they're under the gun. They're on this time clock. So it makes it to where, okay, they have to sell cars and they have to sell them as quick as possible. So when you come into their dealership, they need to get your money. They need you to buy a car. So they're going to be very predatory. They're going to say anything that they need to say to get you into that vehicle, because the longer that they keep a car on their lot, the more money that they are going to have in the car. Just like a credit card. If you don't pay that credit card off in a month, 2 months, 3 months, your interest starts to pile up. And this is the exact same thing that happens to a lot of used car dealers, where, okay, they'll go through a time frame, they don't sell a lot of cars, and they owe a lot of money to their lenders. So these car dealers are going to do everything that they can to not have to keep a car for X amount of time, so they don't have to pay these floor plan costs, these extra interest fees. So what does that mean? That means they try to push you into a car the second that you get on their car lot. So fees, let's talk about fees here. So there are lots of fees that car dealers like to charge that, you know what, they don't have to charge. And this is a big downfall, I think, of the whole industry, because it's very rare for you to be able to go and get really a true price on a car. I've had some situations recently. I've been looking for a car for myself that I haven't been able to find at these auctions, and I finally found one at a car dealership, and it was $13,000. So I called and said, okay, what extra fees and stuff do you have on the car? Because I know you probably got at least a doc fee, right? And they said, well, we can't really tell you what the fees are. Just come and look at the car, and I can tell you that we've never lost a customer over fees, which obviously is a lie. But I couldn't even get this salesperson to tell me what the total price of the car was without me coming in. It was even to the point where he said, you know what, I'm not allowed. If I tell you how much the car is going to be before you get here, I can lose my job. Our management will not allow us to do this. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the reason why the salesperson is not able to do this is because they know that they're not going to get the consumer in there. Just because I cover the car market and because I want to help the consumer out and go through some experiences that a consumer is going to go through, I went to this dealership because I was very curious to know what the price was actually going to be. That $13,000 car that I went to go look at turned into $18,000, just like that. And it's absolutely ridiculous that dealers are able to get away with this and they still are able to sell cars. You look at fees like nitrogen. Absolute BS. You're going to get that and charge that to you. Recon fees, cars for them to get the cars prepped. Last time I checked, okay, we had to do that anyway, right? Doc fees are out of hand. You can have doc fees at some dealerships that are like $1,200 to buy a car. This is just for us to be able to write the paperwork down to put it in a customer's name. It's absolutely ridiculous. Here at my dealership, I don't charge any of those fees. I don't even charge a doc fee. And that's very, very rare. I would guess that probably 98 to 99% of all car dealers out there charge a doc fee. You know why they charge it? They charge it because they can. So I know there's a lot of you out there watching this. Well, Brandon, I know you're telling me not to buy a car from a dealer. What if I'm a new car buyer? What if I want to buy a new car? Well, you don't really have any options, right? Because if you're going to buy a brand new car, you've got to go buy it from a dealer. The way the system's set up, that's the only way you can do it unless you're buying from somewhere like Tesla. But if you're going to buy a Ford, a Toyota, a Honda, the way the whole system's set up, you have to go to a dealer to actually buy this car. So in that scenario, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to find a good dealer, and that's hard to do. So you can look around, you can call a bunch of these dealerships that have that car that you want. And I mean, if you're buying a new car, there's tons of dealerships that have that exact same car that you're wanting to buy. You can call 3 or 4 dealerships around your area and you can ask them, okay, what is your out the door price on this car? What kind of fees am I going to have to pay when I get there? What's your doc fee? Do you have any add-ons like nitrogen, any market adjustments, any kind of that stuff? I need to know that before I even come to your establishment. And a lot of these dealerships, if they're good dealerships, they'll tell you that. And there's some dealerships that charge fees and some that don't. And you want to find those dealerships that are not going to charge these fees and that their doc fee is not outrageous. And I can tell you, if there's a dealership that's not going to tell you this over the phone, that's not a dealership that I want to shop at, because I can go ahead and tell you the reason why they're not telling you that over the phone is because their fees are ridiculous and they're going to lose a customer if they tell them what their fee is over the phone. They want to get you in the door so they can woo you, so they can tell you all these, whisper these sweet nothings to you to get you to pay all these extra add-ons, which are, for the most part, just pure profit for that dealership. And when you do find that dealership that doesn't charge these fees and you feel like is actually doing the right thing, then what you can do is you can go in, and then how your negotiation should look like is that, okay, you should already have your research in front of you, know how much you should pay for the car. You can look at the salesperson and say, look, I've done my research. I know that I can get this car for 10% off MSRP, whatever the number is, after you've looked it up to see what you should be able to buy that car for. And say, I want to buy it for this, or I'm going to leave. And that's the biggest part of the negotiation if you're doing it with a dealer, is you have to be willing to leave that dealership. And so many people will make an offer at a dealership, and then they'll say no, and then they'll just stay sitting there. That's not how you're going to negotiate your deal. That's not how you're going to get exactly what you want. You need to let that dealership know, okay, I am a customer, I'm willing to pay you this price right here, and if not, that's okay. I'll go to the next dealership down the road and I will ask them the same thing. But as long as you know, if that salesperson knows your plan, he's going to communicate that to their sales manager, and if they don't want to take it, fine. There will be a dealership out there that will take your number as long as it's reasonable. So back on the used car side, I'm telling you, yeah, don't buy a used car from me. Don't buy a used car from any used car dealer. But where are you going to buy one from? I would much rather you buy a used car from someone you know, a friend, a family member, someone that you can know the history on the car, how they drove the car, how they maintain the car. Somebody just in your network that you're able to go check out the car. You're not going to get any fees from them. You're going to know the price. You're going to be able to get that car checked out by your mechanic before you even purchase the car. That's where I would much rather you go buy a car. And even if you don't know the person, you can look on Facebook Marketplace. You can look at all these different places online. The problem is there can be some safety concerns with that. So make sure you're taking someone with you to go check out the car, or you're meeting them in a public place. You can even meet people in the parking lot of a police station. You can meet them in the parking lot of the bank where you could possibly get the car, the title notarized if you have to do that in your state. Just make sure you're safe if you're going that route. But I would much rather you do that than have to go to a dealer to be able to buy the car, just because of all these reasons that I've said in this video. I want you to be safe. I want you to get the best deal. I don't want you to pay any fees, and I don't want these dealers to gouge you. And if you take this information from this video and you do a lot of research yourself, there are a lot of other videos out on YouTube to give you the knowledge you need to be able to put yourself in the best position to get the best deal, to be safe, and to buy a reliable car. Then that's the route that I would want you to take. Again, I'm a used car dealer. I don't want you to buy a car from a used car dealer. I don't want you to buy a car from me. I want you to do the research. I want you to find the right car for yourself and save yourself the most money and buy yourself a reliable car and know exactly what you're getting into before you buy it. If you take away anything from this, whether you're buying a car from a used car dealer, whether you're buying the car from your mama, my biggest piece of advice I can give you: make sure you get the car checked out by a mechanic before you buy it. If you can take anything away from this video, that's going to be the thing.